We're aware of the problems excessive violence can pose to a community. 6 murders and 78 shots fired this year.
Many people in Cedar Rapids have had enough. Last night, we reintroduced you to Kirsten Meyer. She survived being shot last year after someone pulled up to the car she was in with her boyfriend at a gas station and opened fire. Meyer recovered, but others have not lived to tell their stories.
Fox 28 News reporter Dora Miller gives us a look at the community's attempt to make our city safer.
We talk about a lot of issues, and they sometimes become part of this large group discussion.
It's the familiar sound of minds hard at work, trying to solve a familiar problem. Grady Daniels Jr. has had busy hands and a heavy heart for the community he calls home.
It's to build trust.
Myself, Wellington Heights Neighborhood Association Committee, the police, we've been trying to put together programs where the youth can get together and find alternatives, to violence.
His group, Stop the Violence, has one goal in mind.
Veer our kids away from the violence, away from the streets, away from the things that, are going to put them in prison instead of college.
They say it takes a village. We're trying to raise that village again to make sure that children feel safe.
As the executive director of Jane Boyd Community Center, Dorice Ramsey says they offer after-school programs to keep kids busy, but communities cannot rely on one organization to make all the difference.
When a child comes to a classroom with issues, you have to look beyond the classroom and you need to look at the home environment. You also need to look at the community environment.
Pastor Craig Brown says we also have to look at a person's values.
We either can be part of the problem or we can be part of the solution. So we here at First Lutheran feel we are called to be part of the solution. It's not enough to say a few prayers and sing a few songs. That's great, and we do that too. But we also roll up our sleeves and we get involved.
His church has been involved in many anti-violence efforts, including one of the first anti-gun rallies in the city.
Oftentimes the solution we find is in small, concrete action steps, and it just takes many, many, many of them.
Wellington Heights Neighborhood Association President Justin knows about small steps.
We're not the neighborhood watch. We're not telling you what to do. We're not, peeking out our windows looking for crime. We're looking for ways to just get you involved.
He says they've noticed a difference since taking those small steps, so much so people are walking on their own.
And that's who I see in this neighborhood, a lot more than shooters and drugs and everything. I see people that want to help. I see people that want to be engaged in the community.
Action for those getting their hands dirty and their feet moving for change is progress.
When people feel connected, when people feel a part of a community, when you know who your neighbor is, when you know the name of your neighbor, it's those personal relationships that people have that will really change the fabric of this community.
The community really helps law enforcement. If we're not doing anything to prevent the violence, there's really nothing that the law enforcement can do to prevent the violence.
We're seeing people from all different demographics, all walks of life, all different colors, beliefs come together and say, this is enough. And I think that's what it's going to take.
Covering the corridor in Cedar Rapids, Dora Miller, Fox 28 News.
City leaders have even formed their own group to address the violence in the community. They call it the Think Tank, and they plan to incorporate ideas from other anti-violence groups. Tomorrow night, we take a look at one cause of violence that not only affects our community, but impacts the entire nation.